welcome back to All For United WFC. It's another big win because there's loads of goals to talk about. We've got to talk about one conceded goal. It's a little bit annoying, and I hate doing that when you're putting that in the title, but here we are. But we did score 5. Me and Barry said on the last show that we want to get our scoring boots back on in preparation for SK Brown on Thursday, because we kind of lost them in the away leg. And this was the perfect way to get the shoe boots back on in preparation for that one. So,
what did I say the score was going to be?
I can't actually remember. I know I said 3-0.
4-0, I said. It was a 4-goal differential. So
I was going to say, on your predictions league, that's a couple of extra points there. So yes, so we've got a lot to get into. Obviously, a lot happened in the game as well. We're diving into all the specifics of everything that's going on. The player of the match poll is already in the chat. I'm getting quick at this now. The player of the match poll is in the chat before we're even live now. So your choice on that one is Jayde, Riviere, Melvine Malard, Anna Sandberg, and Jess Park for this one. So get your votes in. We'll come back to that towards the end of the show. Firstly, right, we'll do as we normally do. We'll talk about the lineup because would you believe, I can't believe what I'm seeing this season. And I'm quite happy to put this on record. For a start, I'm liking hearing what Mark Skinner's saying. I think he's speaking a lot better. And he's also rotating, would you believe? I can't believe what we're seeing before our eyes here. So there was 3 changes for people who didn't see it. Even Elizabeth Turlin was dropped to the bench for this one. Melvine Malard led the line. Billy Turner came in. And Zigotti, Olma came in as well. And Celine Bizet came in on that one. So Beth, I'll start with you first on that one. Happy with the changes? Annoyed at the changes? What was your thoughts when you saw that line came out?
No, I think happy. I think the fact that, like you said, rotation is, well, I would say it's always a good thing, especially in the situations we've got over the last week and this week. Yeah, I think it's just great to make sure we are mixing it up a bit. I think that of the rotations he did, it shows that is I can't get my words out, a strong squad. But you know, it's still the whole thing of making sure we've got more on the bench. That was last week's issue. But yeah, I think that starting 11 especially was a really good one to start with.
Yes. Yeah, no, I totally agree. Sorry, I was really intrigued to what that is. What that little icon is that I've just brought on screen. I can't quite work it out. It's someone with little headphones on, I think that is. Fair play or not.
Jess, that is a monster waving like an alien. But it is something waving.
Is it? Oh, yeah, no, it is. Yeah. Yeah, with headphones on, that's it. Okay. Jess, same question to yourself, and then Barry just follow in terms of the lineup itself. I said we wanted a bit of rotation, and obviously with this busy schedule, and we're kind of seeing it at the moment.
Yeah, I think it really makes a nice, pleasant change. I feel like for the last 3 years I've been coming on these shows, and it's probably been one of our biggest points of criticism, or before matches when we've been kind of doing what our best 11 would be or whatever. We've always said like, oh, we think we should rotate, but we know it's not going to happen. So it's nice to see that it's finally happening. I think it's somewhat been forced a little bit maybe by the injuries and the run of games. But I think it's obviously working really well. And hopefully it will help us get through this kind of period where we're playing obviously the European games, WSL games, and we're struggling, let's say, in some areas with injuries, people coming back from injury. Hello. So yeah, really good to see. And it's also good to see that the players themselves don't seem to be struggling too much. Like everyone's quite kind of seamless in the way they play. Everyone's slotting in nicely. So it's working really well for us.
Yeah, I think it was quite nice to see some changes, but I think, it's also just common sense. You haven't got to be like the cleverest person in the world to realise we've got a very, 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 very small squad, which doesn't even fill the bench as well. You've got to try and rotate some of the ones that you've got in the hope that, as we saw, if somebody gets injured, you need to know that the players that are coming in are going to be of the quality you need them to be and ready to play. So, yeah, I think that's really quite important. But the girls already said pretty much everything they need to about the lineup. I think that, that the players that he's using are the right choices. And so far, I don't think there's too much that people can get on the back of Mark Skinner for when it comes to the lineups that he's chosen.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think when that lineup came through, it was like, I was relatively surprised because, like, yeah, some players getting a rest again, and I think it's definitely a trust thing with the players that are coming in. You've got to trust the squad that you have, and I think we're starting to see that a little bit. I agree with Becky's comment. I think in the way that the game went, I'm still looking at that bench being like, come on, you're 4-1 up now. Bring some of the players on. Obviously, we waited until the 70-something minute or whatever it was, so then maybe that. But for the most part, it was nice to see because we got very predictable last season. You could pretty much pick 10 of the 11 every single week, which is sometimes a good thing, but when you're not winning all the time, that's not always a good thing. I will just quickly bring this comment up, though. I can't. I mean, you'd hope so, because hair does grow, right? I would hope it's getting bigger by the week, although it's getting cut next Saturday, so it'll be even smaller again, unfortunately.
Fun fact for you, Brandon, actually how his quiff gets big, you'll have noticed that I've had a shave. So what I have to do is I have to donate my hair, and he just sort of fluffs it up. It's a bit like the McDonald's when they take the photos of the burgers. They're not actually as good as that because they plump them up with things and use glue and bit like that.
So what you're basically saying is that Connor has a weave, almost?
I mean, I wouldn't know. I haven't had hair for years. I don't know what a weave is. To me, that's something you do for baskets. I couldn't help.
It's the same concept, really.
That feels painful, I'm not going to lie.
I don't even know what to say.
But no, Connor, you're looking very Jimmy Neutron this evening, I have to say. So I do agree with that comment.
This has blown your idea that we're serious for 45 minutes out of the water, hasn't it?
I can't believe it. I just think, I can't believe that nickname stuck for all these years. That was on a show like 3 years ago. 3 years ago that was. I can't believe that. And before we get back to the Forks, I know that's what you're all here for. For anyone interested, every 4 weeks, I work in 4 weeks in advance. So there you go. Tell me about it, Andrew. I've had this for 2.5 years. So, nothing new there when it comes to that one. Right, let's move on to the first goal, which came within the first couple of minutes. I'm just going to ask you all literally a yes or no first before we talk about kind of the specifics around it. Do we think that's a penalty? Go in the same order again. So Beth, Jess, Larry, is that a penalty?
It's a soft one. It's one of those you can see both sides of it, can't you? You can see why it was given, but at the same time, you would be annoyed if it's given against you. It is soft, but at the end of the day, if you're an experienced player, you're going to know to go down.
I'm going to say that as a yes, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, essentially, I agree. I think I said this pre-show. If that gets given against us, I'm absolutely fuming. I don't think it should be a penalty, but I can see how it has been given. If you have your arms up in someone's back, and like Beth said, you've got an experienced attacker and they're going to go down, I can see how it's been given. But in an ideal world, probably not a penalty.
She pushes her. Does she push her? We all agree she pushes. That's a penalty by the letter of the law. Do I want to see that in my football matches? Absolutely not. But by the letter of law, that is a penalty. So yes, but should it be? Would be the other side of it. I'd say probably not. But how do you judge how hard somebody's pushed and all of that sort of thing? Push is a push at the end of the day. So, like everybody else, I wouldn't want it against us. But it didn't happen against us, did it? So who cares? Yes, it was a penalty.
I think that's kind of where I line up with it. I think, do I want to see that as a penalty? No, not really, because I want the game to be more physical and all that kind of thing. And to be fair, just in this game in general, while we're talking about the London City game, it seemed like everything was a foul anyway, like all over the pitch. Everything was getting given as a free kick, or there was a stop for something, or it was a very stop, particularly the first half. It was very stop start, and there was a lot of players on both sides getting frustrated with it because it just seemed like everything was a foul. So I'm not surprised it was given. I can see the comment you're laughing at as well. I'm trying so hard to keep this a serious show, but I'm going to have to bring it up now we've all started laughing. That is incredible. I don't know what to answer. My mind's not with this tonight. So I'll let other people answer for me in a second. Referees in the chat. Ian saying penalty all day long. It was a 200 push in the back. That's what I mean. I think obviously I was watching on TV. It didn't look like it on TV, but if you're there in the ground closer to it, I guess you got a better view than us.
That's what I'm saying. She does put the hands out. Like, you can see the hands go forward. So that's why I'm saying it is technically a penalty. Has she put enough on that for Mel to go down, you know, like a sack of potatoes? No. But she does it. You know, you can't do that. If you're going to do that in the penalty box, you deserve everything you get. You know, you've got to be a little bit smarter about it. Just throw in an elbow and use your muscles that way. You can't be putting two-handed pushes out. That's moronic. No,
I agree. I'm gonna have to change the comments to private chat in a second because I'm just gonna keep laughing otherwise. So I might bring these on screen while that's question. Is there anything to add, by the way, on the penalty itself? Obviously, Maya Tissier is now, well, she was last season as well, our penalty taker, which surprised a couple of people last season. But it seems she's taken up to the mantle. I will say she absolutely rifles this one in. There's no kind of placement or, you know, put it in the corner. She's like, no, I'm just going to hit this as hard as I can, straight down the middle, and let's see if the keeper moves out of the way. Yeah, anything to add on the penalty? Anyone want to discuss the penalty? Or if I don't like asking questions about penalties because it's either a penalty or it isn't.
A good penalty.
Like, how do you dissect a penalty?
It was good. It was straight down the middle. Keeper dived, but yeah, she rocketed that in, and she looked very confident taking it. I think sometimes people step up and look nervous, and then you feel nervous and know it's not going to go in. But she looked confident the whole time, so you can see why she's our penalty taker.
And we don't get all that many. There's a question here saying how many penalties we get last season. Did we have 3?
Is that it?
Take away the World Sevens because we had about 500 in that one. But in terms of the penalties in season, I think it was 3.
I'll try and find out.
Spurs, Arsenal. I have a feeling there was another one, but I can't think for the life of me which one it was.
4, apparently. We ranked 8th for like the amount of penalties. Liverpool had the most penalties with 9.
So there's some trivia for you in the chat. What were the other 2 games? Because I cannot think for the life of me what they are. Spurs. I remember Spurs and Arsenal because the Spurs one threw me off because there was about 1 million players around the ball, and I was like, so who's actually taking it? What?
Oh, actually, I'm lying because I'm looking at the men's team.
Right.
That's my bad.
So we can forget that.
Hang
2
on.
in the league.
Give me a minute. I might be able to find out the actual correct answer.
I'll be honest, I thought 9 for Liverpool felt just a little bit on the high side. I was like, well, fair enough.
I thought I didn't follow them that closely last season, so I just thought, well, they must have had 9. I should have just Googled this. 2. We had 2. And Arsenal had the most with 6.
There we go.
We got there in the end. Apologies, everyone. It's been a long day.
What's even better about that, though, is that there are people in the chat currently trying to name the 2 games that there definitely wasn't a penalty.
I'm so sorry. Everyone's been racking their brains. Yeah, that's my bad, guys.
Everyone keeps
making up penalties. We definitely had one in that game. Yeah, we had a one against West Ham.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm losing my mind here. I don't know. Let's move on because this is gonna hurt my head. Right, we'll move on to the second goal then, because this one definitely is more. Well, this was quite something. Now, Jayde in her interview has said that this was definitely a shot and that she meant this one. So we'll take her word for it. That she was definitely shooting, not crossing, for this one. So I'll go in reverse order. Barry, I'll start with you. Talk us through this one, because milestone for her. First goal in the United shirt.
I did a little dance when she scored that. I was stood up and I was having a great old time moving around the room. I was absolutely gobsmacked. It was such a good finish because when you look at how she picks that ball up in the first place on the right-hand side and the angle that she's got, everybody in the world's thinking, well, she's going to be crossing this or putting it back. Everybody, except Jayde. And I'm with her. Like, there is no way that's anything other than a shot, because if that's a cross, that would have beheaded the person that tried to get on the end of that. It was an absolute zinger. And I was just in awe. Absolutely in awe. That is far and away. I mean, I might get some pelters here, but I think that's a better goal than Jess Park's, purely because of the angle. The angle is so difficult to do that in. That she has to be completely precise. So yeah, for me, absolutely love it. I thought that was a superb goal. She was superb all game, and yeah, that one was just from that angle, brilliant. Joey Barton's never done that.
I think as well, to add on top of that, Jess and then Beth just following on this one as well. As Erling mentioned, it was mentioned a bit further up as well. The celebration was very good as well. Almost as good as the goal itself, I think, on that one.
Oh yeah, she was buzzing, like absolutely buzzing. And like the kissing of the badge and the like grabbing and the pointing, love that. Absolutely love that. I just think like I'd say the majority, in fact, probably all the players now, you can tell that they love playing for the team. They have like a real sense of pride around it, which I think probably only goes to enhance their performance on the pitch as well. But yeah, I absolutely loved her celebration because it wasn't even just like a quick kiss. Like she was there for quite a while with like holding the badge and like pointing and kissing in front of the fans, which great to see. Absolutely love that. Like she loves being a Red, and I'm really, really happy.
Yeah, I guess you both said what I would say anyway. Again, it's that confidence, but the love of the game, the love of United. We all know she's always been a United fan. And I think that, like, even when you think about when she first came over, it was that, like, oh my God, I'm playing for my childhood team. And I think for her to get her first goal was just, you could tell she was shocked as well. I think that's why, like, she's obviously, it's great to have a badge tap, but obviously she's not one who's going to have a celebration lined up in that way. So it's really nice to see that way. But yeah, you can see both sides of it. In fact, there's a comment that's saying, I'd seen it as well on the women's football show where Farrah Williams said that it wasn't a cross because of the way she was looking. I can kind of see where she's coming from on that one. But sorry, it wasn't a goal because of the way she was looking. But yeah, so I can see where Farrah's coming from on that one. But at the end of the day, if you're going to rock it in like that, any goal counts, and you're going to take it, especially if it's your first goal for the team.
I think as well, I remember when I spoke to her earlier in the year, and she said it on other interviews that she's done as well, that, you know, a lot of her training drills and so on growing up and kind of her younger ranks was a lot of shooting drills. It was a lot of, you know, when I asked her who her idols were, a lot of them were attacking players as well. You know, I remember Nanny being one of the players that she said there as well. So she's got a good strike on her, and I just hope this gives her the license to go forward. And, you know, I've been saying this in the last couple of shows, and I know we'll talk about this when we get to Jess Park, but why we don't just shoot more often? Because our players have got good strikes on them. Obviously, we didn't see that in the game against Norway. As I said at the time, that was just a one-off game, in my opinion. If they do hit them a bit more, as we've seen, I think you're going to score more often than not, I think, on those ones. Obviously, I don't want us to start just hitting it from anywhere, you know, getting just inside their half and start shooting. I don't want to see that. But yeah, I'm just really happy for it because obviously that's the first one now, and hopefully the first of many. I think once you get the first one out of the way and you've kind of broken that, not that it was a mental barrier, I don't think it was really playing on her mind or anything like that, but I think once you get past that, it will certainly give her the confidence, hopefully, to score a few more and kick on from there. And that's why I think that's going to be the theme of a lot of what I say, I think, throughout this show and over the next couple of shows. I hope that a lot of our players are already off the mark. You know, when you're looking at Malard and Turland, you know, Tooney with assists, Sandberg's already got an assist. Like, you're looking at all these players that already got one. They're already kicking it, like, you know, in terms of going into the season, rather than it dragging on like start of last season. It was kind of just Clinton. We didn't really have anyone else scoring at the start of last season. So this is much better to see, I think, on that one. Right, before we get to the two Mallard goals, I want to quickly just address something on the first half, which was defended set pieces, which was a little bit of a worry that we said before the game. And if anyone who was watching on TV will have seen Fallon Tullis-Joyce was a little bit frustrated. I think at one point, it was after one of the free kicks on one of the corners, and kind of had her swearing on camera moment. I don't know who she was shouting at, but it was quite entertaining to watch. But Ben, I'll go around the other way on this one. I'll start with yourself. In terms of, what do you think is going wrong from some set piece? We didn't necessarily concede. Well, we didn't. We didn't concede from one again. whereas we did in Norway. But it was a little bit concerning to see London City win almost every single header. It seemed like every cross that was going in needed a save rather than us clearing it in that first half in particular.
I don't want this to sound like, I don't know if this makes me sound naive in that way, but I almost feel like, obviously we don't know what's going on behind closed doors, but I almost feel like in training there's been such a focus on getting up front, attacking, shooting, that maybe it's not been as much as a focal point as it has in the past. I think, like, obviously last season we did have the best defence in the league, and I do wonder if, like, it's something to do with that maybe. Apart from that, I honestly don't know. Like, I would think in a way really not much has changed, but it almost feels like, you know, maybe we've just not been like practicing them as much, or I'm not too sure, to be honest. But that's all I can think of, really.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. I think this comment's asking, what does she say? I won't repeat it, but if you can work out what that first bit stands for, that's what she said. So there's your answer to what she said. Go on, Jess.
Where's the fish?
Yes, that is. I heard that is exactly what she said. A comment's just come up actually, and I was going to say this, but I was trying to rack my brains to think how tall everyone is. But is it that obviously we're not, are we lacking some height? I was trying to think who was around more last season that, I don't know, was like 6 foot tall. But I kind of potentially agree with what Beth said. Maybe it's just not been a focus. Clearly, moving through the phases of the pitch has been heavily focused upon, which was something we really needed. So I don't know, maybe they took their eye off the ball a little bit with defending. I'm kind of stumped, or maybe it's just finding their rhythm still. And I really don't know, because even, I know we'll probably come on to this later, but even the Lionesses' goal came from a cross, which to me was sort of poorly defended. It was a player drifting between the two centre-backs. So I don't think it's something that we can magically find the answer for, but I'd like to think that this is something that they're going to look at quickly, please. But I don't know whether it's like a height issue, because you're not really going to see players like Hinney kind of being super dominant in the air, I wouldn't have thought. I think at one point Hinney was up against, I can't think the name of the... Yeah. That's kind of a really good point. And I think, I don't know whether we're struggling for height, simply as simple as that. Because at the end of the day, you can be the best header of the ball in the world, but if you've got someone you're marking who's got 6 inches on you, they barely have to even jump, and they've already kind of exceeded the best you can kind of do. So it might be something as simple as that. It's really hard to know. I think it's still early in the season. So I think it's one of them you just got to keep an eye on and hope that it doesn't carry on as it is, and that some work's actually done in training to improve positioning, I think, more than anything on set pieces, and kind of divvying up who's marking who and actually being sensible.
I said this after the SK Brand game as well. I need to watch this game back properly, because I can't think off the top of my head. But I said this after SK Brand. I still don't know whether we're doing zonal or player-to-player marking, because the Brand goal comes from just their player running in between a lot of ours, and our players kind of standing still. So that would make me think it's zonal rather than player-to-player, because if it's player-to-player, you follow that run, whereas zonal, you just stand in your little zone. And then if they move, if that player then moves into another zone, that's someone else's problem, not yours. I don't actually know which one we're doing, but that's the only slight concern of mine. So I think every game we've seen, even the Hammarby game, the only chances Hammarby had were from set pieces. They had a couple of corners in the first half, and again they were they hit the bar from one of them, and it was a little bit of a concern. So that maybe it's that, I don't know. Like I said, I don't have the answer, but. Yeah, Barry, same question to yourself in terms of that, because we've not conceded loads from set pieces, because, well, we've only conceded one, but we are giving up a lot of chances, I think, from set pieces.
Well, we're not conceding loads because we've got the best goalkeeper in the history of goalkeepers. But, you know, I mean, I've just pulled back the highlights again, just to have a look at one or two of them. And, you know, the goals are right insofar as the height does feel like a bit of an issue. We do get beaten in the air far too often. I've just looked at a corner that has come in, and we've got 6 players stood in a line from the middle of the goal going up towards the middle of the 18-yard box. And then a few people at the far post. So they've sort of got themselves into this. I mean, honestly, if I put the music on, it would be a bit like they were doing the Congo. I mean, I can't, it's a still, so I think I can show you pretty much there. Does it work? There you go. But they just literally look like they're ready for Black Lace to turn on. And then that's it. They're off on a do. We are winning 1-0. And that was it. But you're right. It doesn't make any sense. Whatever they are doing currently, because it's not just, let's be clear, it's not just defensive set pieces. Our offensive ones are actually offensive to watch. If I have to listen to Connor talk about them not beating the first player in the chat again, I think I'm going to go around there and teach Connor to just let things go. Because honestly, the whole set piece drama at the moment, it's just not that great. We've had some good shots. You know, we will probably talk about the Sandberg one in a bit. She had a really good free kick that was pretty good. So if we're just being direct, it's not a problem. But what we don't seem to be able to do is to have the accuracy to aim for the player that we want it to be. And they don't seem to be doing too much with it. So when you look at how those set pieces have been, I think ultimately the person in charge is Fallon. You know, so she does need to be telling her players where to be, but that's obviously why she's shouting and people are seeing, you know, her getting a bit annoyed. They're clearly not doing what they're supposed to be doing, and there's too many people that I think are sort of absolving themselves of responsibility because there's so many of them in the area. None of them are really, don't seem to be picking up each other in the way that they should be. You look at the goal from the other day that we were talking about that we conceded, and it was exactly the same thing. You know, people wanted to have a go at Millie Turner, but there's 3 or 4 players around there, and Fallon could have come out. And it's the same thing with this corner. It's the same thing with some of the free kicks. We're letting it bounce, and then we're panicking when the ball comes in, and at that point, we're not doing what we should be doing. So, listen, you could probably do an entire show just breaking down set pieces and what's going wrong with those. And maybe that's an idea for when the international breaks come around, Connor, because I'll tell you something, I'd tune in for that one.
Yeah, you give me an idea. It would be interesting to go and watch them back. And I'm going to say this now before, because Barry's just mentioned it, so I don't have to say it again. Can we please stop hitting corners into the side netting? Like, it is getting on my... It's really frustrating me now, because it's like, you do it once, it's, you know, fair enough, it happens. It's every game, every single game. Most of our corners either hit the first player or they go into the side netting. And it's just like, what are we doing? Like, I don't know. But that's getting incredibly frustrating because, as I said, you may as well just give the corner up. Just let them have a goal kick. Like,
it's actually the only thing that's worse than a short corner.
That's almost word for word what I said to Barry last week.
I remember last weekend, Connor, you and I stood next to each other and had this exact conversation and basically said that can they just beat the first man? And then instead of beating the first man, they just put it into the side net. And it's like they're the only 2 options at the minute. Header away at near post, side net.
Which baffles me. But yeah, so it's not been good. So yes, set pieces in general, I think is definitely a talking point because defending and attacking set pieces. Although, as Barry just said, the Sandberg free kick was quite good. You know, I think I actually put in. I said to Barry and Charlie just before she stepped up to that. I thought if we don't shoot from here, we are. It's almost like we're never shooting from a free kick again if we didn't shoot from there. Like, so I was half expecting some like floaty cross to the back post or something, but she had a go and yeah, forced a good save out of it as well. So. Yeah, I just want to see us do something different because you can't just go game after game after game where you're just constantly just throwing away corners. They can come vitally important in games. You're not going to get all that many opportunities against some of these big sides, especially if we go into Europe. We might need set pieces, you know, from that point of view. So, yeah, just one to look at, I think, from that one. Right, let's go on to the 2. Should I merge the 2 Malard goals together? Because I feel like her performance overall, I mean, are we all kind of, again, I'm just going to do a little quick fire thing. Are we all kind of agreed the first one is probably offside? Are we all agreed on that one?
Did the linesman put their flag up? Did the linesman put the flag up?
Officially, no.
Then it wasn't offside. That's answers the question.
I mean, I obviously watched it on TV or whatever. From what I could see, it was clear offside. Like, it wasn't even a kind of VAR, one of those, her left toenail of her big toe was over the line. Like, from what I could see, and again, this is just from TV, it was like pretty blatant, a good, few inches. But what are you going to do? Not a lot.
And I will just say as well, for people saying that changed the dynamic of the game, no, it didn't. London City were not getting back into that game at that point when that goes in or anything else. So I'm not having that. But yeah. So yeah, Beth, if you want to lead us off with the Malard first one, it's a Jess Park assist as well, which she's off the mark. Obviously, we'll talk about a goal in a second, but she's already got an assist. But Malard again, obviously, we'll talk about a second goal as well in a second. But the fact I think she actually scored 4 goals all of last season, and she's already on 4, which is quite something.
Yeah, I think it's just I think I said this last week, I might be wrong, but it's that confidence thing with her again and enjoying her football again. She just seems to be it sounds really simple to say it, but really skillful with the ball and just playing with it. And she's almost got a bit of that kind of street football that helps play the ball against the defenders as well. Yeah, I think she knows where to find the spaces a lot quicker now, or a lot easier. I don't know how else you want to phrase it. Yes, it was offside, let's be honest. But it is one of those, isn't it, where you go at the end of in a way, at the end of the day, she still went for it. Yes, she didn't check her lines and everything. It wasn't given. There's nothing that can be done afterwards anyway in the women's game anyway. But yeah, she just seems to be frustrating everyone who comes near her.
No, I agree. I think she almost hits it. Does she take a touch? I think she takes one touch, doesn't she? And she hits it on the second one from memory. So I've not watched this back today. Which again, I think would just it looks like a different Malard to me this season to what we've seen last season. And should have had a hat trick really. With the chances she had towards the end, where I don't quite know what she did. Yeah, Jess, just on the Malard first one, and yeah, it's a good little bit of play, I guess, from Jess Park as well, slotting her through, kind of drifting into the middle at that point.
Yeah, I think that the way they linked up, and in fact the way the team in general linked up across the pitch, creating little triangles. There was a lot of fluid play. It looked really good. I think Malard deserves to get the goal given to her just based on her movement, because those defenders did not have a clue where she'd gone to. By the time she got, obviously she was offside, but by the time she got the ball, she was in so much space that it was really simple for her to slot it home. But also Jess Park's vision to see know what Malard was doing, and the placement of the pass, the weight of the pass, literally everything. She made it. All the hard work was basically already done by the time Malard took her first touch. From the run and the ball from Jess Park, I think it was fantastic. And I think the way we've seen Malard play these first couple of games is how we've seen glimpses of the last season or so. But to see her playing with such consistency throughout the whole game, or time she's on the pitch, is fantastic. I think she's so impressive, and I think if she can carry on like this, then she could easily, be kind of in the running for golden boot by the end of the season. The fact that she's already on par with last year's goal tally is a testament to that as well.
No, I agree. I think Barry, you are making me laugh, because every time I ask one of the girls a question, you remind me of one of the coaches on the bench that have got the little iPad to the side and every so often just reviewing the footage.
I am, and I know that's what you're doing, because all I'm hearing people is giving it it's definitely offside. It's definitely offside. It is a lot bloody tighter than you lot are making out. You're making it sound like you could have driven a double-decker bus and the lorry in between her. You absolutely can't. At the point. The tricky bit is with this is trying to pause it at the point she actually kicks the ball, because my first pause is just as she's foot's moving but hasn't kicked the ball. And at that point, she's level. She is absolutely level. And we are talking about her in milliseconds. And I'm seeing people in the chat go, oh, well, we definitely need VAR for that. Like, this is the sort of thing that in the men's game people go mad about. Don't have a go at her because of the fact that she's beaten her player who's currently stood with her back to her. It's the defender's fault. If you let a defender run around you like that, you deserve everything you're going to get. So is it offside? It ain't. Like, that lino has done the right thing. She's given the benefit of the doubt. She's been looking down the line. And at the point when it looks like the ball is hit, she's pretty much level. I'm telling you now, if you put that through VAR, I'd defy someone who's got a VAR type system to put that in there and tell me that she is miles offside. Because even when you do the next pause, she's like on the line for the 18-yard box. So at that point, she looks offside, but the ball wasn't kicked at that point. It was kicked a few bits, and this is it. This is why technology is beautiful. It would be an automated offside, but I'm not joking you. I feel like that's worse than VAR because you watch it, they show you the picture, and you go, well, what part of her's offside? Her hand is currently through the fourth wall. It's like some sort of blinking Exorcist film or something where their hands have gone through the telly into another world entirely. And that's it. It's just that hand. And the hand can't be offside. What the blinking hell are you talking about?
I think it's... Sorry. I think it's...
Go for it. Shut me up anytime you like.
I think what doesn't help is that with most of the games, like, it doesn't matter what pitch you're on, there's no, like, flat angle of it, if that makes sense. And I don't just mean that for this offside. I mean this going throughout the whole WSL, that it is hard when we're looking back at it to know if it is sometimes, because you look at the angle and it's a bit like that anyway, because of wherever they have the camera or however they work it out in this case, which to me, thinking about it, is just the cameras that you see on TV. It's nothing like... There was one, I can't think who they were playing, but there was one Chelsea got last season where Lauren James must have been like 10 yards offside or something, and it got given, and that was a game-changing moment. I think they then won the game, and it was like in the 90-odd minute or something. So those are the bigger issues. But I think in this case, you would think usually we would see everyone complaining about it. I've not actually seen anyone saying anything. So I think it is one of those where it is both sides, but to me it did still look offside.
The angle I saw, and again, I said before, like, it was purely just based on the angle I saw. It looked very offside, but I am fully acceptant of the fact that what I was watching looked like it had been filmed on a potato anyway. So it was quite difficult to see regardless. Like Beth said, we have interesting camera angles and camera qualities and everything else. So I think we can all only make assumptions based on what we can see. And a lot of the time, what we see is not very accurate for the rest of the game. It's the same with the penalty shout at the start. I think the people that were there in the ground probably saw that it was maybe there was a lot more in it than what I saw on the TV. Because like I said, it honestly looked like it was filmed on a potato. So it's kind of hard to tell.
Some poor camera guy is crying right now, Jess, at you calling their camera a potato.
So sorry. Look, I was watching the highlights, and actually it was on United. So whoever, like MUTV or whoever, I'm so sorry, but
it's just
maybe it was me. I was watching it on my laptop, to be fair, which isn't exactly like 4K. So maybe it's me. Maybe I'm the problem.
It's just angles and perception, to be honest. Because like while you guys were talking, I've watched it back. It's closer than I remember it being, to be honest. She is still like half of her body is definitely in front. However, as I just said, the camera is 5 yards behind, so the angle is always going to make her look further offside than she is because the camera's behind. So, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It wasn't given. We scored.
I mean, I
really didn't think this was going to be a massive conversation, to be honest.
I've got Ian sat there having a go at me, telling me to take off my rose-tinted specs. Now, this is quite a thing because this man spends his entire life sticking up for referees as best as he possibly can and giving them the benefit of the doubt. So it does blow my mind ever so slightly that here's me trying to do the same. And I've just had enough of all these games in VAR where they're spending so long. I watched an NWSL game that was about 15 minutes into the second half and they'd already stopped. I'd watched 2 minutes of football because they actually stopped and they were spending about 3 or 4 minutes looking over the VR. If it's taking you that long with a computer to look at it, don't muck about. Just go with what you said straight away because it's obviously not that easy. Now, I appreciate this is definitely filmed on a potato because you can't take screenshots of Sky Sports and all that sort of stuff. But this is the moment she's about to kick the ball. And you're telling, look at that. You can see her foot, Melvine Mallard's left foot, is literally where the London City Lionesses' left foot is. And that's in line. So, you know, if it does end up being offside, it's going to be offside by the barest of margins. So what I'm getting at is she definitely offside? Is she definitely not offside? I think it's just a point of that whenever it's something like this and it's against Man United or it's anything like that, I'll get VAR out. We must stop this atrocities. Get VAR out when Nikita Paris is getting mugged by Chelsea in the penalty area and nobody's giving them that. Not because Melvine Mallard's nostril hair that was just slightly poking out of her nose might slightly be offside. Like, it's got to be clear and obvious, and that's not even close to clear and obvious. So it isn't a thing for getting VAR in. Other than that, bloody brilliant finish, Mel. Well done. You absolutely deserve the benefit of the doubt.
I think Mel's still on mute then. I was going to actually ask you, Barry, to go in with the second one that she scored as well, because this one, to be honest, if I'm a London City Lionesses fan, although there didn't look to be that many, to be honest, because this goal goes in and half the crowd behind the goal started standing up cheering. So I don't quite know what's going on there because that wasn't the United away end. But this one is horrendous defending from London City to leave Mel on her own 6 yards out is horrendous. If United can see the goal like that, I'm fuming. But yeah, Barry, so I'll let you lead off on the second goal because, again, Sandberg, as I said earlier, I thought she had a brilliant game. There's a reason she's on the player of the match poll, but she's already off the mark with an assist already, and I think she's deserved that. With the games that she's played already so far.
No, absolutely. Very little to say about this one, really, other than just what a fantastic team goal it is. I'll let the ladies do that because I've had more than enough airtime shouting about, hello, how can I help you? The spirits are after me. I'm in trouble now. Ian's obviously got somebody on me. This is not good. Keep my eye on that. I have to go and put 50p in the meter, perhaps. But the ball back from Sandberg was incredibly good. And again, to have had Melvine Malard there to head it in the manner that she did, it was a superb header. Honestly, that's what you wanted Elizabeth Turlin to do against Bran. It was a similar sort of bit further forward, perhaps, but it was one of those. You just needed to get the header on target. She did that, and it was absolutely superb. So I love the fact she's got a couple of goals, and I love the fact that she's currently leading the scoring charts in the WSL after 2 games. Love that.
No, absolutely. I think I'm just bringing a lot of these comments up now because I think it's. I wrote a piece, actually. One of my 5 things in the cutback that I wrote earlier was literally just focused on Sandberg. So I think she's been exceptional, particularly in the last couple of games that we've seen as well. And Beth, I'll throw that question over to you, obviously, particularly on the goal itself, but I guess Sandberg's, influence on it from that side.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it was a brilliant work goal from everyone, but the fact that she was always making sure she was in the right place. She knows how to play off her defender in that way. But it was that 1-2 kind of football that is brilliant to see. And I think Sandberg's really good at that. I like getting us to push forward in that way and making sure that, we're not just holding the ball. We're actually moving with it and trying to create these chances in that way. She seems to be very level-headed from what I've seen over the last couple of years, especially this season. And it seems to, in a good way, ground the team around her so that we're not, I know obviously this isn't a game to say this in, but we're not panicking when things aren't going our way or whatever. She seems to just be right, no, let's just carry on. Let's just keep it going. And she seems to just be able to get in those right places and get to the right people.
Sorry, I was.
I didn't know when you were going to just go for it.
I was, but I was a million miles away. I was actually closing some of the tabs on my laptop, to be honest. I'm trying to multitask. following on from what Beth said, I can't believe that she's essentially a child. She's like 22. Like, I thought that she was, and that is a child to me now because I'm getting old.
I was going to say that 22 is a child now. What's going on?
Yeah, well, I'm 29.
Evans, and we called her a grandma.
Oh, yeah. And then I realised recently that we're the same age. I've just remembered that. She's like 10 days older than me or something absolutely ridiculous. But yes, she's essentially a child. But she plays like a fully grown adult, which is crazy. Like Beth said, she is so level-headed. She grounds the team. And she's right. I thought her directness was fantastic. And that's essentially how we got the goal. I'm giggling now because Barry is. Her cross, like she was so positive. I think a lot of what we would have seen last season is players constantly wanting to cut back inside and go backwards or go sideways. But she's attacking the defensive players. She's beating defensive players. And the crossing was basically perfect. I mean, London City really kind of gifted us that one, to be honest, more than anything else, because I don't know what they were doing defensively. If that's our defenders, I would be actually going insane, because she found the space. She got in between the two centre-backs. They did not have a clue where she was, and perfect prime positioning for her, and a really simple goal really for her in the end. But I think Anna's play to get to that position was, really, really impressive.
We couldn't not let it get that. That was just. If you didn't see the last show, how have you missed it? Definitely go and watch it. It's on Twitter as well. But that honestly, that was just the best moment in the history of the world. Whilst Connor was talking about a child that was getting about to get booed for saying that Grace Clinton was the favourite player, but a moment earlier he tried to work out how old Maria Thoris-Dottir was, and when somebody said 32, I thought it was a child, not 32, and then he just went, honestly, go back and watch it. It's not as funny when you just say it out loud, but if you watch it, it's unbelievable, and that's won the internet today. Well done, Brandon, you're the winner.
It's because it certainly made everyone in the chat laugh as well. From that, but I can't laugh too much. I feel sick as it is.
I'm sorry, yes, I didn't mean to put you off there.
It's fine. I'm used to it at this point. I've grown accustomed to like trying to hold it together and not start laughing in the middle of like trying to explain something. So it's fine. I'm used to it now. It's because I'm really old now, so I just rise above everything, obviously.
Yeah, that's fair. Beth's the only professional one here now, I feel like all these new people are getting on the channel, Barry. They're going to be so much more professional than we are.
It's all right, we'll ruin them before long. Won't be long until they're chuckling away with us, spitting water out all over the place.
Yeah, we do. Oh, yeah. The last 20 minutes of the last Monday's show, as Barry said, for anyone who hasn't watched it, it's definitely worth a watch. From that one. Beth, you did unmute yourself before Barry went in. Did you have something else to add on that one? Or were you just going to laugh at us as well?
No, I did, but no, I'm not going to lie. I honestly can't remember what I was going to say. No, honestly, it's completely gone in that moment.
I'll come back to you for the final goal then, the Jess Park one. And again, this to me just capped off another great performance from her. She played well in Norway in midweek. And then again today, but freely in a role for her, by the way, as well. Came on and got an assist, which was this one. But the footwork and the finish for this one is quite something. And I swear this was something we were saying on the last show, about shooting from the edge of the box a lot more. Well, she finally did that one and got the result.
Yeah, I think it's something that we've seen her do for City for a few years now, and even like that's how she's got goals. Or attempted to. I know she's not made many appearances for the Lionesses, but you can see that she's trying to build that up where she is playing as well. But I feel like because we've watched her for so long, I instantly have been thinking this is what she's going to come in and do, and it goes back almost to what you were saying about Riviere as well. That maybe we just need to try and shoot from outside the box as well as inside the box. But it's just brilliant. She obviously the through ball from Rolfo is really good as well. Just to have the eye line to see her there, and I think that also the way Jess is playing it at first, I think she goes towards the left, and you can tell that she's a bit like, oh, there's no one there. Not like, what should I do? She knows what to do, but like she was almost expecting someone to be there, so that's why she then has to play it off. But it's just a beautiful goal and something that I did expect from her anyway, and part of the reason I was really happy when it turned out we were signing her.
I think as well, at that point, I actually tweeted this, the team at that point was Rolfo on the left, turning down the middle, Malard on the right, and Jess Park in behind. I was looking at that team just thinking, like, if you'd have told me that was going to be our front four at the start of the transfer window, I certainly wouldn't have. And Zigotti and, I think Nelson might have been on at that point, but Zigotti and Hinney potentially behind that as well. Like, just like Adele saying, if you'd have told me that we'd have a Jess Park goal with a Rolfo assist, like, it's just not something that I could ever have envisaged seeing in a United shirt. Jess, Barry, anything to add on this one in terms of the Park goal and Rolfo already off the mark? There was so many firsts yesterday.
I can't believe how tall Rolfo is. I feel like I've just never noticed before. I know it's not really relevant, but maybe it is when we were talking about how maybe height is a problem. I think just stick Rolfo in there, and maybe she will actually fix our set pieces defensively for us and potentially attacking, because she's so tall that maybe she can head it in before it hits the side netting. But no, I think similar to the ball that was played for Melvine, the ball to Jess Park, fantastic. I don't know how she had the vision to do that, considering these are all new players that haven't played together much. Rolfo's been injured. Jess Park has only been a United player for kind of like 2 weeks. To know where the movement is, to anticipate that movement and put the ball exactly into the right place, essentially splitting the defense, is incredible, and shows why she's sort of been regarded as the player that she is. Absolutely fantastic. And yes, like everyone else, I can't believe that these two are collaborating for United. It's not something that I ever would have expected, but I think it's a really exciting prospect for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think Jess sums up really well there. Rolf's ball was incredible. Just takes out both sides entirely, and leaves Jess with just one person to run at, and she allows another person to catch up and run into the box before just knocking it to the right. And superb finish, obviously from the edge of the box straight into the top corner. Goalkeeper had no chance. So yeah, I think it was a really, really, really good performance again from everyone in the squad. As far as Jess Park goes, I've said this a few times. I said last week that the way that she performed in that game against Bran made her, almost instantly my favourite player in the squad. I would now go so far as to say, and I'm going to use the exact terminology. I was talking to our old mate John Commode. I haven't fully read his message yet, but it pops up with just the end of it. And basically he said, I think we've pulled City's pants down on this one. And we absolutely have. They are just ridiculously embarrassed because they've got Grace Clinton. Jess Park is doing things at this point in her career that Grace Clinton can only dream of. You honestly, if we can see video of Grace Clinton running around with the ball glued to her feet, taking players on and doing that, I'll be gobsmacked. And I don't know how much money we've paid Man City for her, but what I will tell you is that whatever it is, it's an absolute bargain, because she has come on and she has been ridiculously good. So yeah, for me, top finish, top player, miles better than anything that Grace Clinton did, 100% better attitude.
I think as well, like Lot's saying there, City basically paid us to take Park off them, because the way that the deal worked was City paid more for Clinton than we did for Park, so we made a profit on Clinton. So essentially, they've paid us to take Park off them, which is pretty incredible. And I said on one of the last couple of shows that she's like a player that I don't think we've ever had before, in terms of that close control, the speed that she's got. and a brilliant shooting ability as well. And I think that's it's just a brilliant thing to see. And I think it just gives us another dimension. I spoke about this in my article earlier, that we needed different dimensions in attack this season, and we've got it with Sandberg on the left. We're seeing a different way of attacking down the left now. You know, the link ups in midfield with Zigotti and Hinney in particular in the middle, and now we're seeing it from the right as well. Jess Park kind of coming in from the right and drifting into the shoot in the middle at this point. Like, it's just good all round. We're playing a lot better from an attacking point of view. It might mean we concede the odd couple of goals, as we saw in this game as well. We did concede one on the break. But other than that, I would prefer it like this. I said this all, over the last couple of seasons. I'd much rather see us win games big and concede the odd few goals than scraping out a 1-0 or a 2-0 and just keeping the... Obviously, you want to keep clean sheets, of course you do, but it's not the end of the world, I don't think. Right, before I kind of come to player of the match and all those kind of things, I don't really want to talk about it. So literally, this is an open question for anyone who does. But London City did get a goal, and it was former United player Nikita Paris. I mean, there was a comment a second ago, Barry, saying, because you did say on the last show that a former United player would have a good game against us, but it wasn't Zellum, it was Paris this time, who got the goal. But has anyone got anything to add on a London City goal? It kind of came at a weird time. Obviously, we were 4-0 up at the time. I think it was just after the Turner incident as well. It kind of was just a weird moment in the game, but yeah, just a bit. It was just more a bit annoying, wasn't it?
I think we just switched off, and I'm not trying to excuse it or anything, but there's been a lot of game time for us, even pre-season. Look at last week. Look at what we've got coming up over the next couple of weeks. We just switched off. Obviously, we'd had to take Turner off and bring Janssen in, and sometimes you don't want to do that with your defence if you don't have to. If you're playing well already, you wouldn't want to really switch out your defence if needs be. But unfortunately, these things happen. And I think, it's just one of those really unfortunate things. It wasn't well defended whatsoever. We just switched off.
Yeah, I just don't have too much to add on it, to be honest. I think it was just one of those. It's a decent enough finish. And I think I brought the comment on the screen a second ago. I do think Lottie's right. The Millie injury definitely shook us a little bit, because London City did get a lot of chances after that. I think for anyone who likes their expected goals and all that kind of thing, I think London City got 1.4 in the last 15, 20 minutes alone after that injury, whereas it was 0.3 or 0.4 before that. They hit the bar as well, that kind of bounced down off the line a couple of minutes after that as well. But so they did have a lot of chances, but I think a big part of it was down to this. There was definitely some concern, it seemed like. Just luckily we were 4-0 up at the time, so didn't need to focus too much on that.
I think it comes in on the cross, as we said a moment ago, and it shouldn't be scored. There's 3 players in that box, 3 players, and only 2 London City players that could go to. The third one was getting well down towards the far post, and it just frustrates me. Like, Nikita Paris is hardly renowned for her, climbing into the air and rising like a salmon in order to head the ball in the back of the net. And it's so easy for her. Mela Tissier is still too busy almost doubling up on one of the players who goes towards the front post. And so it's just, again, crossing. We just don't seem to have that cutting edge almost, or that superiority when it comes to a ball being crossed in the ball, but even worse when it's set pieces. So it's bad. You do wonder again, it's near enough to the 6-yard line that Fallon could have come out and done something with it as well. But I mean, it's a good header from Paris. Ultimately, look, she's a Man United player, so really we won 6-0.
That's a good way of looking at it. And I think Sandoval makes a good point as well. Grace Giora was on the pitch at this point, and let's not underestimate her talent. This is a player who's playing right at the top, and he's a very, very good footballer as well. And it definitely did shift a little bit when you could tell the level jumped when she came on, as it's going to with the quality.
I think in the same way that it obviously negatively impacts us when Millie Turner goes off, bringing a player like Grace on, you'd think would kind of have the opposite effect, and it's going to just help boost everyone's level and kind of rally them a little bit. I mean, time and time again, you see it, that a player goes down with any kind of big injury, stretchered off, anything like that, and it affects the team that's lost that player for a little bit. And I think couple that in with, like Barry was saying, the poor defensive. The poor defensive, I don't want to say poor defensive display because it wasn't a poor defensive display, but the poor defensive setup, let's say, we saw off some set pieces and crosses. I think it was just like a collaboration of things. But yeah, you can expect that a player like Grace coming on is going to rally the team and really get them to kind of like step up a level. Probably even more noticeable when we've had the opposite effect from Millie going off.
Yeah, and just very quickly on that, obviously we hope that Millie's injury is not too serious, and wish her a speedy recovery. I know that a lot of people are asking. I don't think it's one we can comment on in terms of what it potentially is. Nobody knows yet, officially. So we'll just have to wait and see for any potential announcement on what that is. But yeah, hopefully it's nothing too serious anyway. Because it wasn't nice, and she was down for a long time as well, which is why there was 10 minutes added on. Obviously, at the end of the game as well. That obviously does beg the question: if she is going to be out for a long time, well, that leaves us with two centre backs, which, I mean, just exacerbates every single problem that we said could happen in the summer. We said that we're potentially one or two injuries away from having nobody to replace certain players, and now we're potentially, I don't know, because we don't know what the state that Millie Turner's going to be in, but the fact that she was in a knee brace and crutches at full time, I would say that she's probably not going to be back for next weekend, leaves us with two centre-backs, which is just crazy. And a lot of people are talking about recalling loans and things like that. I don't even know fully if that's going to be possible or that's something the club can look at. I'm sure they will, and those options potentially are looked at, but it's not as easy as just, we want her back, we'll have her. There's a lot of clauses and a lot of things that go into those contracts. They might not even have recall clauses in their contract, so it's not as easy as that. It depends what the agreements are from those ones.
I've got a little game for you. I want you all to cast your minds back to a few years ago when we're in a similar sort of position, and Mark Skinner in his infinite wisdom went, I know what we'll do. We'll alternate between Hayley Ladd and Katie Zellum as the makeshift centre-back. So my question is, who of our plethora of midfielders is dropping in if we have to move Maya or Dom?
I can't remember. Oh, no, I don't want to. I'm torn between Ziggiotti or Narsund.
I was thinking Narsund. I
wouldn't want to move Ziggiotti out of the midfield.
She's playing so well at the minute. When is Hannah Blundell back? She's had a baby now. Get her back on the pitch. Get the baby on the pitch. Then we've got two players.
The baby's not going to be tall enough to head the ball.
Well, pick it up.
I
don't know. I'm not good with children. I don't know when they're old enough to do things.
I mean, Hannah played for the 21s last weekend, didn't she? Or the other day, Thursday, I think it might have been. So I would imagine she's getting up to fitness now. And there is a lot of shouts in the chat for Gabby George as well. That's what I would imagine we're going to do, because I just don't know what else.
Ian's joking, but part of me thought that might be a role for her, going back at centre-back. She's not scared of a tackle.
She's one of those people that if you say to her, just go play centre-back, she would just do it because she doesn't think about anything else when she's on the pitch other than her job, which would just be to snap everyone, getting the ball obviously safely and responsibly, blah, 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 and heading the ball away. So we would never concede from...
I mean, I don't doubt that.
About 9 penalties.
We've got Arsenal and Chelsea coming up. I do not want to see Olivia Smith running at Rachel Williams. I think that might tip
That would actually finish me off.
The nicest possible way, whoever you put there is not going to be Millie, Dom, or Maya. So this is the point. This is why you need an extra centre back. So you're going to have to throw somebody in there, even putting a left back in there or a right back. It'll have to be a left back. We've only got one right back, but putting a left back in there isn't the best of ideas. So yeah, just a little thought game there for you all.
Maybe we got two keepers on the bench. Maybe stick Kayla in there.
That could be fair. Could you imagine, right, having one of them there and then they go up and they catch it and they go, forgot about
Oops, a daisy.
So yeah, I don't know. And yeah, it's just poor planning all round. And like, I know that, like I said earlier on, I don't know how easy it is in terms of recalling the loanees, because it really depends on what clauses they've got in their contracts. They might not have it, which means we can't from that point of view. But it also just stunts their development. There's lots saying. Jess Simpson, by the way, 2 assists in her first 2 games for Southampton, so she's doing brilliantly down there on that one. So yeah, it's just, I don't know. It just puts us in a bad situation. But we'll wait and see what happens with Millie when some official information, I'm sure, comes out. Beth, you didn't answer that one. Who would you stick back there? Just out of interest.
I was honestly really struggling with an answer. I honestly didn't really have an answer. I was really just like pondering of what you guys had said. What I was just thinking though is like, and I know we've gone over this, but it's just that fact that Millie was like injured at the end of the season. Why did we not think about this during the transfer window? Because I'm absolutely gutted for her that, you know, her first game where she actually starts after injury and it looks like she's going to be out for some time again. Why is this a thought now? Why was this not a thought beforehand when we knew that she is quite injury prone, I would say? I just don't understand.
Was there a reason Aoife Mannion went?
It's just the end of her contract and they didn't renew it.
There you have it.
What we could do with her right now. as someone's just... Yeah.
That's exactly what I just said, Sunshine. Too late, no.
But I would imagine this as well, as I would imagine some of the 21s, a couple of the 21s played, I can't remember her name, Sienna Waring. I apologise if I butchered her name, but I'm pretty sure she played centre-back in some of the pre-season games as well coming up. But again, you're kind of like stunting players' development when you're doing that, because they're probably not ready for the first team, and you're potentially putting them in those high-pressure environments. I don't know. It's just poor planning. But we knew this. We said on so many shows over the summer this was a possibility. You get 1 injury or 2 injuries to the back line. This is what happened. Even yesterday, when we actually took Jayde off, but it was Bizet who went to right back because we don't have another right back to play there. So it was Bizet this time to cover it. So I said this over the summer that we're going to see players just play loads of positions because that's just, you know, where we're at the moment. So,
but I think not to bring another team into it, but I think a way you can almost look at it as well is with Arsenal at the minute, with Williamson being out, they've brought Katie Reid in, who's 18. So, and I know she's made a couple of mistakes. You're going to expect that from someone who isn't experienced in that way. But I think it's just worth trying if we're in that much of a like predicament. I do just think, do we just try it with those players? It's hard, I know, because obviously we've got Arsenal and Chelsea up next in the WSL, so you don't really want to be testing this theory out on them. However, if you've not got the options, I think you've almost got to try and like look at the positive of it in that way as well, that, you know, yes, they might be young, but some of them just come in and smash it as well. So we wouldn't know until they tried it, and that's all we can say really on that.
Oh yeah, a certain Marcus Rashford did that. Came on because of an injury crisis, came through and kicked on from there. And yeah, I completely forgot about Scarlett Hill as well, who has been on the bench, obviously in the first team as well as a defender. So potential cover there. Yeah, it's a bit of a worry, to be honest. So, you know, we'll wait and see what happens when it comes to that one. Yeah, I'd love really to add that one. Just hope that Millie recovers soon. Right, we'll come to player of the match. I'm going to end the poll in just a second. And yeah, that looks like there's going to be a clear winner in the chat. Jess, I haven't come to you first in any of the questions, so I'll start with you. Who was your player of the match for you yesterday?
I actually found it quite difficult to pick one because I thought that attacking wise everyone played really well, but I'm gonna go for Melvine, just because 2 goals again. I'm just thrilled for her, and she just looks like she is enjoying her football, playing well. What more could you possibly ask for?
You see, I went to speak then and nothing came out. I don't know what happened there.
A week ago, but water came out.
Jeez, I don't know what happened there. What I was trying to say.
Oh.
She. What I was trying to say was, so that's 1 vote for Melvine. What about you two? Was what I was about to say.
Go on, Beth.
Sorry, I wasn't sure it was going first then. Yeah, I would go for Melvine as well. Like, it's just the way she seems to just run off the defenders, and they just seem to be struggling around her. She's just got this confidence, and you can't argue with it. You really can't. 2 goals this time, 2 goals last time. You just can't argue with it.
Sorry, we haven't seen you for ages. And then just straight in with boom. Say that, Connor. I voted for Melvine. I think if you score 2 goals in the manner that she has done, she's been incredibly good. And I think actually, when the squad was announced, I did look at that and think, is dropping Turland the right decision to make it? So I was a little bit nervous at first. But no, look, she's done absolutely everything she needed to do there. Like I said, 2 goals, top goal scorer at the moment in the WSL. Absolutely superb. So, yeah, but I would have, it was between her and Jess Park, but I might be getting biased now when it comes to Jess Park. So I've got to give it to Mel.
All these Jesses are going to get confusing as well. So we've got 2 in the AFU team, 1 that's on the shows, 1 that's doing the TikTok, and then we've got Jess Park at United. We've also got Jess Simpson on loan. There's just too many Jesses.
I agree. The rest of them need to all change their name.
We need to get a Jess in the chat. We've never had, unless you comment. There's I don't remember ever seeing a Jess Park in the chat. So
we'll have to get Jess Park in the chat. That'll fix it.
That would be a moment.
Well, she can be JP.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you were going with that.
I was going to say, you're
right on that one. She's a trickier one. You can call her socials, Jess.
Yeah.
As for Jess Simpson, she doesn't play for us at the moment, so we'll worry about her when she comes back.
Yeah, so that's a future problem. That's fine.
But yeah, I would make it a full house and go for Malard as well because 2 goals. She just looks a different player at the moment. I think she would be disappointed that she didn't get a hat trick as well in the game. And unanimous in the chat as well. 44%. Jess Park 24. Jayde Riviere 15. Sandberg also 15 on that one. I'm so glad you're back in the chat because it always makes me laugh. So it's good to see you back. Amongst everyone else, there's been loads of comments tonight, by the way. I don't know whether it just seems there's so many more than usual. So I apologise I've not brought every single one on screen. I'd be spending the whole show bringing comments up if I was doing that. My final question then before we wrap this up, because we're not going to do another preview for Bran on Thursday, so I'm just going to ask you for your score predictions for that one. And if there's anything you want to add on that one, what you would change. Obviously, we made a couple of changes for the game on Thursday. We then made 3 more for the game yesterday. So 2-part question. What changes would you make? And then what is your score prediction for Thursday night? Who wants to start? I've seen who's ready with an answer to throw themselves out there. You know what? No, I'm going to break rank as the host and just throw it out there. I think we win 3-1. And I wouldn't make too many changes to the team that played yesterday. The only change I would make from yesterday is start Rolfo, drop Bizet, put Jess Park out on the right, have Malard starting down the middle. See, everyone's saying Turner needs to start. I think you keep Malard where she is at the moment. I think she's scoring at the moment. I know Turner does as well. I would do that. And then Zigotti and Hinney, obviously. So that's what I'd do. And 3-1.
I wanted to say 3-0, but I'll be honest, I don't really know what changes I would make. Like, I don't want to drop Melvine because how can you drop a player that's...
So there is a very good quick point as well. I keep forgetting we've got Arsenal 3 days after this, which is another big game as well.
Yes, indeed. I think, to be honest, even the team that played Bran last week, whenever it was, I've lost track of time already, that they should be more than capable of beating them. But yeah, Connor, I think I agree probably with the changes you would make because I'm not really sure. I would rather see us beat Bran and progress there. Yes, I would definitely agree with that. Start as Zagotti over Nalsons, I think. I thought she played really well on yesterday. We've not really mentioned her much, but she played really well.
The other two are deep in thought right now.
Yeah, I think it is which one you prioritize is probably too harsh a word, but in this case, which game do you prioritize? And I do agree that in a way, I don't want, obviously, I wish we weren't really in this position in that way, in the case of us then having Arsenal, but this is the way it's what turned out to be. And I think I would start Turland for the Bran game. Because again, like, she's in form as well. That's what we're quite lucky in that sense at the minute that they seem to both be in form. So yeah, I would probably do that. And then the thing you've got to also think with that is that if we do that, it's going to almost put a fire like for Melvine when she comes on to then score if we're in a position when we need to. I'm gonna go to 2-0. I think it might be. I don't know. It might be tight, but we are at home as well, aren't we? So it's a hard one, but that's what I'm going with.
This is a really tricky one. But again, the Arsenal game is very important. I see people saying that the Bran game is more important of the two. I would actually disagree. I think the Arsenal game is more important because if we can go into Arsenal to that game and win, that would be absolutely unreal because that would put them 3 points behind us immediately. The Bran game is important, but whatever happens, we're in Europe. So it is one of those things where we're going to have European football to play. I still, in my heart of hearts, think that the Europa Cup is probably going to be a more winnable tournament than, well, not probably, it is a more winnable tournament than the Champions League. So if we ended up in the Europa Cup, okay, it doesn't feel like a massive problem to me. So I think we have to keep an eye on the Arsenal game, but equally we have to put a side out that is competitive against Bran. So I would probably keep the same back four. I would probably put the same team out pretty much that played last Thursday and give them a chance because they were all over them. They really were. I think the big thing for me is whether or not Rolfa starts or not on this one, because I think she's got the opportunity to, and that could be a good thing to put out on the left-hand side. But that does then mean do you not start Malard at all? So I don't know. I think I would still be starting with Turland. She's been lethal for the most part. But again, what a wonderful position to be in, where we're looking at these forward lines and thinking there's lots of changes we could make, and actually there's good shouts for all of them. So yeah, I don't really care. Just put 11 players out there that can win is what I would go with. As far as the score goes, I'm not as confident as a lot of people. I'm really not. Bran were difficult to break down, and we know that we're not the greatest at breaking down sides like that. Jess Park has to play. If she can do that and get the final ball so that we can get ourselves a couple of goals, we'll win it quite easily. I don't think we'll concede. So if we can get a couple, we'll go through. But we've got to get the first one. We get the first one, we'll win. We don't. Look forward to the Europa Cup. At least it's not on a Thursday.
Yeah. No, I think it's a good pro. I don't think I'm going to be too fussed whatever the team is. I think the back five is going to pick itself because we are not going to have anyone else anyway. It's going to be Jayde, Mayer, Dom, and Sandberg, kind of thought. You would imagine it's going to be Zagotti and Hinney, but I wouldn't be mad if it's Nalsson because I actually thought she did really well in Norway anyway. And then, to be honest, the front three, I'm not really fussed because whoever doesn't play is going to come off the bench anyway. Or whoever doesn't start, is going to come off the bench anyway. So I'm not too fussed from that point of view. But it's going to be a big game. And I know there's been a lot of push on social medias and Mark and Jess Park as well have done interviews about getting the crowd there. I think I know obviously it's an awkward kickoff, but if you can get to the game, I'm going to use this platform as well to say try and get there, because I think the crowd needs to be as big as it possibly can be for a game like this. It's our biggest game so far this season, and I think it deserves a crowd for that. Which, yeah, looking at the ticket sales at the moment, I'm going to be honest, they're not great. So hopefully that picks up by Thursday, because yeah, from what we had in Norway to this one,
France was a record attendance, wasn't it, last week?
Yeah, and so far this is probably on track for a midweek Conti Cup, which is not great.
Which is not great at all. You know, we spent all this time saying we want to get into Europe, and then we're all going to sit and watch it on MUTV.
Yeah, so I hope. I know United are doing big pushes on social. Did anyone else get the alert earlier on, being like the Reds need you or something like that? I think the alert came up as on the app. It was so they're trying, but obviously you can promote something which you want if no one's buying. It is what it is. But yeah, so hopefully that ticket sales obviously improve on that one. But there we go. So yeah, we'll round it off there. Our next show will be Friday, where we obviously talk about the brand game. There will be an Arsenal preview that will go out on Saturday. But that'll be a pre-recorded one. Then we're back into Arsenal match reaction the following Monday. So lots of shows coming up. Yeah, it's going to be a good week. I hope it is anyway. From that point of view, because yeah, we're one step away from the league phase / group stage that we've never ever made before. So that'll be quite something. And hopefully we can get through it. All of our socials, as always, allforunitedwfc. Thanks to all of you in the chat. You've been absolutely brilliant, as always. As I said, so many comments there. I'll have a look at the stats or the analytics when I come off here in a few hours. But I feel like there's been more comments on this show than there has been, certainly for the last few. So appreciate all of you, and all of your opinions are always welcome, as they always are on these shows. Make sure you're liking this video and subscribe it if you haven't already. Thanks to these three for giving up their Monday evenings to hop on the show as always. As I said, we'll be back on Friday doing another match reaction. Stay tuned for that one. Have a good week all. Enjoy the game if you're going, or if you're watching on TV on Thursday. And yeah, fingers crossed we can make it to the Champions League for the first proper time. Have a good week all. See you guys in the next one.